Welcome to my channel. Today, we're going to talk about something that every woman should know, the things you should never say to a man if you want to keep him interested. As we all know, communication is the key to a healthy relationship, but sometimes certain words or phrases can have a negative impact on your relationship. As women, we sometimes say things that we think are innocent or harmless, but they can actually be quite damaging to a man's ego and can make him run in the opposite direction. In this video, we're going to discuss 6 things you should never say to a man and offer some alternatives that will help you communicate in a more positive way. We all want to have a healthy and happy relationship, and by learning what not to say, we can avoid misunderstandings, hurt feelings, and unnecessary arguments. So whether you're in a new relationship or you've been with your partner for years, this video is for you. Get ready to take some notes because we're about to dive into the 6 things you should never say to a man if you want to keep him interested. Are you sure you want to do that? This phrase might seem harmless, but to a man, it can be interpreted as questioning his judgment and decision-making abilities. Men like to feel like they're in control and making their own choices. If you question their decisions, they might feel like you don't trust them. This phrase can also make a man feel like he's being micromanaged or controlled. It's important to remember that men like to feel like they have a sense of autonomy and independence. If you're constantly questioning their choices, they might feel like you're trying to control them. If you find yourself wanting to say this phrase, try to reframe it in a more supportive way. Instead of questioning their decision, show your support and trust by saying something like, "I believe in you," or "I know you'll make the right decision." By reframing the phrase, you're still showing your concern and care for their well-being, but in a more positive and supportive way. Remember, communication is key in any relationship, and how you communicate can have a big impact on the health of your relationship. Be mindful of your words and how they might be perceived by your partner. We need to talk. These 4 words can instantly strike fear in the heart of anyone, especially when it's said by someone important in our lives. It's a phrase that implies that something serious needs to be discussed, and often it's associated with negative feelings or bad news. The phrase can be used in various situations, from personal relationships to work-related issues. It's often used as a prelude to addressing a problem or conflict that needs to be resolved. While it's important to communicate with others and address issues, using the phrase, "we need to talk," can also cause unnecessary anxiety and stress. Instead of using this phrase, it's important to approach the conversation in a calm and non-threatening manner. It's important to choose the right time and place to have the conversation and to be clear about the purpose of the discussion. Starting the conversation with a positive statement or compliment can help set the tone for a productive discussion. "We need to talk" can be a powerful phrase, but it can also be intimidating and negative. It's important to approach difficult conversations with sensitivity and empathy, and to communicate clearly and honestly. By doing so, we can avoid unnecessary stress and anxiety and have productive conversations that lead to positive outcomes. As mentioned in the previous section, "you never" is a phrase that should be avoided when talking to a man. This phrase can make a man feel like he's not doing enough or that he's not meeting your expectations. It can also be interpreted as criticism, which can damage the relationship. Using "you never" can also be seen as a form of nagging. Men don't like to feel like they're being nagged or criticized, so it's important to avoid using this phrase. Instead of focusing on what a man isn't doing, try to focus on the positive things he does do. For example, if you want your partner to help with household chores more often, you can say something like, "I appreciate it when you help me with the dishes," or "it makes me happy when we clean the house together." By using positive language, you're reinforcing the behavior you want to see more of, instead of criticizing the behavior you don't want to see. This approach is more likely to result in a healthy and happy relationship where both partners feel valued and appreciated. In summary, avoid using the phrase "you never" when talking to a man. Instead, focus on positive language that reinforces the behavior you want to see more of. This approach will help build a stronger and healthier relationship. It's important to note that the phrase "my ex used to" is not recommended to be used in conversations with a current partner. This phrase can bring up comparisons to an ex-partner and make the current partner feel inadequate or insecure. It's essential to focus on the present and the person you are currently with instead of comparing them to someone from the past. If you find yourself tempted to use this phrase, take a step back and ask yourself why. Are you trying to make a point or bring up something specific? Instead of mentioning your ex, try to address the issue at hand in a more direct way. If you feel like your current partner is not meeting your expectations, discuss it with them in a respectful and positive manner. Remember that every relationship is unique, and it's unfair to compare someone to a previous partner. Give your current partner the respect and attention they deserve, and focus on building a healthy and happy relationship together. "Why don't you ever" is a phrase that can be harmful to a relationship. When you say this, you're essentially criticizing your partner for not doing something that you want or expect them to do. It can come off as nagging or complaining, which can make your partner feel like they're not meeting your expectations. Instead of using this phrase, try to use more positive language. Instead of focusing on what your partner isn't doing, focus on what they are doing well. If there's something you want your partner to do more of, approach the topic in a calm and positive manner. For example, instead of saying, "Why don't you ever clean up after yourself?" try saying, "I love it when you clean up after yourself. It makes our home feel so much more organized and comfortable." This way, you're still communicating your desire for your partner to clean up after themselves, but you're doing it in a way that's positive and encouraging. Remember, communication is key in any relationship, but it's important to approach topics in a way that's respectful and positive. Using negative language can cause your partner to feel defensive and resentful, which can be harmful to the relationship. So, the next time you catch yourself thinking, "Why don't you ever?" try to reframe your thoughts and communicate in a more positive way. "I don't need a man." This statement can be empowering for some women, as it suggests independence and self-sufficiency. However, it can also be damaging to relationships and reinforce negative stereotypes about men. Firstly, stating that you don't need a man can make it seem like you're dismissing their importance in your life. Relationships should be based on mutual respect and support, and this statement can suggest that you don't value those qualities in a partner. Additionally, it can come across as arrogant and dismissive of the efforts that men make to support their partners. Furthermore, this statement can reinforce the harmful stereotype that men are unnecessary and only serve a practical purpose in a woman's life. It's important to recognize that men have emotional needs and desires, and dismissing their importance can lead to a lack of emotional intimacy and understanding in relationships. In conclusion, while it's important to be independent and self-sufficient, it's also important to recognize the value and importance of healthy relationships. Stating that you don't need a man can be damaging to relationships and reinforce harmful stereotypes. Instead, focus on building supportive, respectful relationships that prioritize emotional intimacy and understanding.